Hello everyone. Today we are going to see what is TestNG and how it can be used along in a Selenium test automation project. So testng.org is the website that has all of the resources, documentations about TestNG. Test next generation is the that is the abbreviation. So it has more sophisticated kind of methods by which we can manage the test automation scripts using Selenium Java. Right now, here we are going to see Selenium and Java. How we can use testng.org. Let's see. Initially, I created the project, Maven project I have created, just like any other Maven project creation. We will make sure we create the new project and simple project. That is the option we have to select. The second time, you will see a first line giving error in the form.xml initially. So if you change all the HTTP to HTTPS in the first line, the error will be vanishing. So that is the first step. Second step is to see whether we have TestNG already in the project. If you're very new using TestNG for the first time, etc., in your own machines, then you have to install TestNG using Eclipse. If you go to Eclipse Marketplace, search for TestNG, TestNG, Test next generation. Case sensitivity is not required in this one. If you already have it installed, it will show installed. Otherwise, it will show a button and you have to take the steps, accept all of the messages that it gives, and it will restart once after your confirmation. Then your TestNG will become available for your project. Once we have this available, what we need to do is, okay, this is a very plain project with a form.xml. Right now, without even installing Selenium, let me explain you about the architecture of Selenium TestNG over here. As usual, for any website, we are going to do the testing. We have a website for learning purpose, that is advantageonlineshopping.com. You can go to the home page and several functionalities are there in this website. You have a search functionality just like any other e-commerce portal, or you have over here a logo, okay, and you have an account creation possibility, and you can sign in if you have already created an account. All those features, functionalities are available in this website. So the home page looks like this usually. So when you load it first time, it looks like this. And from here, you can check several test cases you can execute using general test cases itself. When you write, you will see whether logo is available and whether title is there on the website and whether you're able to log in into the website and are you able to search, and that becomes one test case. So in the same website also you have multiple other test cases, like do you have a footer, which means that the website has loaded completely, right? So among these tests itself, we can group the test cases into smoke and sanity test cases, right? So what we will do is check whether these icons are there, or you can check for the footer also. Footer check can be done. Right now, I'm going to very simply not even open this website, but in general, how we can understand the functionality of TestNG is that I'll close form.xml for now. Inside of test Java, I will create a folder. I will create a package first. So TestNG TestCases. I will simply create a package. I'm not even talking about the website or anything right now. I'm going to create within the package, I'm going to create a new class. I can either create a Java class, or I can, it is also Java only, I can create a new other TestNG test case, TestNG class. If this is available, that confirms also that you are having TestNG. Okay, so when I create a new test case, verify the one particular thing, that is whether 5 is equal to 6. It is a test case, isn't it? Very simple test case, not even opening the website. Let's first do this one. Test 1. Let us create, I don't want any of these annotations right now. So these annotations, these are the ones that drive the order of execution of the test cases in TestNG. We'll see one by one. Okay, so test 1, let me create a suite file, a controller file from where we are going to run the tests. Okay, so XML suite file is going to be the TestNG.xml. Usually this is the naming convention, although you can have one TestNG 2512 or whatever naming convention you want on the date of execution of those test cases. If you want to have maintain the suits, then you can have that many number of TestNG 2512, for example. Okay, 2512 or December. .xml, this is fine, acceptable. Simply the class name and the XML file suite name. When you finish, you will see that you have this kind of a XML that gets generated, which is not pom.xml, but it is available within the project will, when you refresh the project, TestNG, where did it get? So TestNG 25 December.html got created. Let us see where it has got created. Save as, when you do, you will see src main Java, it has created. Because I choose the wrong thing, I have to place it in the project level. Actually, I drag it and put it in the project level. Let it be in the project level. So when it comes into the project level, then it will be available in this folder. So that's a better convention. Okay. So as soon as I create this one, it will automatically have a suite file. That is, it will say, this is the file to run. That is test1 within the TestNG TestCases folder. This is supposed to be run. And in the test1.java, it is a normal Java class only, except that it doesn't have a main method. What is the intention of having a main method? It is to start the execution at that point, isn't it, in Java? This being a Java class file with no main method, how will execution start? It will be taken care by the TestNG. That is, whichever attest annotated method is there, right? So first method. So first test1 first method. So naming convention alone, it will be easy for us to learn. So this is the first method in test1 class that I have. And this is the test1 class. I can have as many number of test methods I want. I can include, you can see the errors coming. I will show you how we can resolve it now. If you include import, add TestNG library. So attest annotated methods you can use even in JUnit, right? So earlier we have seen in JUnit how to include the test methods. These test methods will be run, and I can simply say assert any test case should have a assertion or a validation. Otherwise, it is simply going to run, right? So if I say, for example, a normal Java class, int I equal to 10, int j equal to 20, two integers, I want to check whether both are equal. It is a test case. Unless I validate this, it is simply going to assign it and remain silent, isn't it? Suppose I want this test method to report whether I and j are equal. Okay, so first method, it will check to see I and j are equal. So the first method, what I will do, assert equals I greater than j, or I assert equals. So this method, now this assertion we have to import as well. Import or.testng, we have to import that. Once we are able to import it, it will show us the signature of the method. So many things we can do using assert. Assert equals actual is, let us say, one of the conditions. I expect I and j should be equal. I, to give it more of a flavor of testing, instead of I can say expected equal to 10, actual is equal to 20. So in that case, it will emphasize more on the testing perspective, right? So assert equals actual with the expected. Actual, expected, both are compared. And this, without even going into the website, without even including Selenium, right now we have to understand the functionality. Let us see how this runs. Either I can run this test1.java as it is as a TestNG test case separately, but it beats the purpose because later during regression testing, I may have to select and run a bunch of test cases. So running each one by one is not a really possible thing. So what I will do is, after saving it up, go to the XML file. Automatically already, while we created the test case, TestNG test case, we were asked to create the suit file. This is the TestNG.xml file, which is called as a suit file. Suit is containing everything, isn't it? A hotel suit is going to contain everything. Similarly, this suit is going to contain everything that you need to execute or control a regression test suit. Fine. So test 1 is going to get executed. So how will we run this? Run as TestNG suit. Remember, if you are running a TestNG XML file onwards, okay, so it could be problem with the JDK. Normally, I wanted to build a ready reckoner where I have this kind of errors when it comes to Selenium are addressed anyway. So such a problem, if it occurs, we have to select the JDK out of the Java SE 1.8 at the basic minimum requirement. JDK I have to select, apply it and close. Then I will be able to run this as a TestNG test. Now I'll allow it a little time so that it will get refreshed with the latest changes that we did. So run as TestNG suite is enabled now. But the basic minimum what we need is, I have to see the console right now. The results of execution, you can see that. Results of running the suite. You can see whether the test case was equating whether 10 is equal to 20, isn't it? So right now it contains 10, which is not equal to 20. Expected 10, you can see in the results. Expected 10 but found 20. So I don't have to worry about this. Simply it is a test case. So how to make it green? Run it again after setting the both the things equal. So this testing flavor you have understood now. So run as TestNG suite again. All Shift and X or G will be able to run. So right now, since both are equal, the results are shown as green, right? So this is the first method. It doesn't have any errors right now because both are equal. So the same thing we can check in websites. We can have an expectation. We can check using the language functionalities available in Selenium WebDriver, whether something is equal to something or whether I, expect a true but found false condition. So thereby, the way to get the green or red is secret is lying in this assert. Unless you have this, it is simply a one method. Okay. So let us see another method I want to introduce at test. And the scope is public void test1 second method. Second method is going to equate to so let me say string total equal to 120.0. Okay, 120.50. And I will see int or double. Actually, what you can find in the website for the shopping cart, that stuff, it will be like this. Shopping cart test case. If it will be when you extract the number from a website, it will come in the form of a string. Double expected total equal to 120.50. Okay. So are both equal? If you say both are not equal. So what I have to do is integer double dot parse double I have to do for making that number into a double, actual double, and then only compare both. Otherwise, it will not be typecasting. That is what it is called. So I have to, if you compare assert dot assert equals, okay, so actual is actual total comma expected total. Now let us run this and check to see whether I have two methods right now. One as TestNG suit. Now we have not even opened the website. In some time I will go and open the website and build a couple of three test cases, simple test cases, and see what we are going to do right now. So here the test first method is passing because both are equal, right? I have an assert statement as the last step to check whether two numbers are equal. The second very simple method has two numbers, and why it is failing? Both are having the same whatever value that we are seeing is both are equal, but one is string, the other one is a number. We have to compare apples to apples. If apple is a fruit and orange is a fruit, even if you compare it, I have to convert that into an apple and then only I have to compare it. So the type conversion, how we are going to do, it's a simple step we can do just to explain you pass or failure that can be avoided in during the website oriented testing. What we can do, expected 120.5 but found 120.50. This is basically what happens when we go ahead and do automation testing using website text extraction, etc. So simple method is double dot parse double of whatever string actual total. This is a string that is there. So I can say double actual total, or I can say actual total itself. That itself I will convert to this one actual total. It's a string basically. So I will have to create another variable double d actual total I simply keep it this way. D actual total equal to double dot parse double actual total. And I will have to compare the D actual total that is converted to the expected total. Okay. So D actual total is spelling error, that is T should be given. So right now I have converted these two. So let's check it. After the type conversion, both are supposed to be equated properly, and the second test case also should pass. Now you are able to see several test cases I can have in my test set. It's a set of tests. One test containing multiple test cases you are able to see. So supposing I want to group test cases in a home page, check the logo, check whether search box is present, check the title, check the footer. So let us organize it like that. So for that, we need to open a website. And even before we go into the website for actual test cases, which we will eventually go, order of execution of the test cases is by the test methods. So these test methods, I will call them a test annotated methods. These methods, how they can be run, I will be able to show you. All right. So basically, annotated methods, they run by the order of the alphabetical order. Since this F is coming before S, first method is getting executed. Now let us say I'm introducing another at test annotated method, public void test A. Okay, just to show you the order of execution of the test case. So this is the third test case, isn't it? So third test case. So this will, I will simply say system.out.println IML test A third method in test1 class. So when I don't have an assert statement here, I can make it pass assert dot. As a matter of fact, we have to by default have some assert method within a TestNG test case. Without that, it is not a test case framework itself. I can give 2, 2 to make it pass. Can use different types of data also to make it pass. Right now, let us run this. I did not make any other change except introduce a method with the alphabetical order, which is supposed to run first, right? So run as, so because A stands first in the ASCII sequential value. So if you see the result of running the suit, test 1 comes before A. So basically that is why this is run before. So 1 comes before A. So basically, instead of test A, I will simply say A is the method name and try to execute this. So it matters when you give the alphabetical order, but usually that is not the case. We don't have to bother about alphabetical order, but by default, it has been designed that way. So A runs first despite being placed in the last of the code. Even though it is a third test case, it is getting executed first. And then only by the order of after A only test 1, test 2, test 1, first method and second method are getting executed. So this is the first part of it. But supposing I want the second method to be executed first. In that case, what we have to do, there is a annotation based priority I can say. Test1 priority equal to 1. Okay, if you set this, let us see what happens. Priority equal to 1 within the TestNG TestCase Java class file. I execute the same suit only, run as TestNG. So it will contain So results of the running suit when we see A runs first, nevertheless, because by default it comes first in the order of the names, that is the alphabetical order. But supposing I give priority equal to 1 for the second method, for the other methods I have not given any priority. So therefore, I have to give priority equal to 0 and second method. In the first method, I have to give the priority less than that, that is more than that, priority equal to 1. So like this, when I specify, let us see the order of execution. Run as, I should not accidentally I pressed on the run configurations. I will run the TestNG suite. So if you look at the order in which it is run, A by virtue of the ASCII sequential thing, it is running first, very first, without even giving priority. So here I didn't even give priority, but by default of the behavior of the test case naming convention, it is running first. But since in the second method, I gave priority equal to 0, this is getting run next. And if you want to consciously maintain the order of execution, then you can go for this. But it is not a very good practice. Okay. So basically, it is, since it's not a good practice, what we will go ahead and do is we will not give any priority part. So let us say, for example, if one method is dependent on another method, it is the best thing to do because it will see to that the previous method is executed and then only the dependent method will be executed. For that, there can't be a better example than registration and sign-in. In automation, first the method that performs the registration with the test data, that should finish first, and then only log in with that data if it is executed. That is the best practice for creation of the test data also. That will be the way the walkthrough has to happen. Okay, let A get executed however it wants. Okay, so let us call this first method is, instead of test first method, I will call this as login method, and this one I will call as registration method or sign in method. Just to give you an example of the order of execution. So let us say, for example, I want the sign in to execute first, but by virtue of L being the better, the in the previous order of the alphabetical order, sign in method will execute second only. Login will try to happen first, and it will fail in the real time because that test data won't be available because the registration did not happen. How to make the login method depend on the sign in method to complete and then only complete this one. We will come to that point. Run this, run as TestNG test, or you can run it as a suit, which is a good practice. So going forward, we will stick to that because multiple test cases or classes may be executed. So the result of, so what is the order? Okay, A got executed. Never mind about that. Login is happening before even a person can sign in. So this is not the ideal situation. So therefore, what we shall do is, I will say depends on, oh, sorry. sign in. So it won't be given over here. I'm sorry. I should have given it in the attest annotation itself. Okay, I will not give it in the signature of the method, but rather I should have given in the attest annotation level. When I have some parameters to the attest like priority, groups or depend on method only, I have to have the parentheses. So now you can see the order of execution. It will see to that sign in method executes first and then only login method will execute. Now simply the dependent method should have the depends on clause in the annotation. So depends on which methods to get executed fully before you can log in into the system. You can see the order of execution first. Sign in method, first it is getting executed as a matter of fact because it is heavily dependent on that. Then by virtue of the alphabetical order, A is getting run and then only login method safely it is getting executed, which is the ideal thing to happen. So the execution pattern can be governed by using these kind of annotations and the order in which it has to run. Okay, so this is for understanding about the structure of the TestNG XML, how the order is controlled during real-time execution in projects and all that. So simplification is the best thing to happen. You have seen that I have not even gone into the websites, etc. Okay, just to avoid the focus on the website rather than the order, etc. To understand that I am using this methodology. Now, if you observe the structure of the TestNG test suite will come as the first tag, and then test will be the next tag. You can see the XML structure given here, and next comes the test tag within which all the classes that I want to execute, it can be included. Right now I have only one test case. Right now I can even go ahead and create another test case, TestNG test case. I want to say, for example, other TestNG class. I can simply give the name of the class. I can say second test class or second test case class. Okay, so within the class itself, we are considering each one of the attest annotated methods to be a test case. So therefore, I'm giving second test case class. I simply say finish without having to create the XML again. Because this control, I'm going to give it to the same TestNG test case only, second test case class. So what I'm going to have in the second test case class is one or two methods I will have. Okay, so one or two methods, public void. The name of the method will help us to understand the flow of execution if you look at the report. Okay, that's why we have to be careful. So I want to say, for example, second class method 1. Okay, method 1, second class method 2. I can have these methods wantedly assert equals, I can make 1 equal to 2 something. I can make it fail wantedly just to understand about the architecture of this TestNG. I'm giving this second class method 2. So I'm going to equate 1 with 1, or for example, ABC with ABC, whatever, right? So 1 with 1. So I'm making it pass. Now, how do we run the second test case? So ideally to include, it makes it easy. I don't have to, remember the spelling and all that not to make a mistake. I will take the refactor and rename and do the renaming. So I will include class name equal to, which is the test case I want to execute, TestNG TestCases. That's the package name dot second test case class, right? So now the order in which it will get executed is one class after the next class. So I will run this. So remember, results of running the suit, you can see that first test case is a Java class file, TestNG TestCases, test1. I have these earlier methods and other things, which is dependent on each one of the other methods. Second is, second test case class has one method that I wantedly failed, the other method I'm passing. And what is the way in which we can see the result of execution of this particular TestNG class files? Okay, so you have something called as test-output. Now, immediately after running the test case, what we shall do is we shall go and refresh the project so that whatever is pending, not written into the report, those get written into the report. After that, if you see, there will be a folder called test-output. By default, TestNG comes with this kind of a folder where you can find a index.html, which is nothing but a report of the execution. During regression testing, n number of test cases we'll have to run. And we would like to store it and present it to the client in the form of a HTML report. So during that time, it is easy if it is a HTML oriented report, which I can index.html is the starting point of the reports, right? HTML page where I can open it using, please remember, web browser. If you open it over here in Eclipse directly, it will be showing you only the code, right? Like this, if you want, you can see that very clearly there are 5 methods. In the first class, I have 3 methods. In the second class, I have 2 methods. One, I wantedly made it fail, and 5 methods. So which are there? So all the methods, if I want to see failed method, if I want to see, I will be able to see expected 2 but found 1, as in the case of my second test case class, found 1 but expected 2, right? So this method has failed. Wantedly, I made it to fail. The passed methods, if you want to see, A has passed, login method has passed first, login method is passed, sign in method, and second class method 2 has all passed. So this is the order in which tests get executed. And for example, this is one aspect of it. Supposing you want to group the tests based on some particular categorization. Okay. Supposing in first test case, I will call this tests, okay, as groups belonging to, let us say, regression. Okay. And the second test case in test 1, I'm going to also, I'll say groups equal to, let us say, belonging to smoke test or sanity tests. Sanity. There are 2 types of tests available right now. In first test case, I'm grouping one of the test cases as sanity, the other one is regression. The order will not change, but basically when you have to depend on one method, sign in method, in order to use the sanity, then you might as well make it as sanity. But right now we are not concentrating on that particular thing. I want to say, for example, run only sanity tests. In that case, what we will do? We will group it on the method type, that is groups equal to this test belongs to sanity test case. And in the second class also, I can group the second test to belong to groups equal to sanity. Same naming convention. In one test, don't give us small case sanity and the other one equal. That won't convert into the case sensitive. That is what we have to know. So at test groups equal to smoke tests. Okay, so smoke. So these are levels of testing. Supposing in my regression execution, your manager tells you or your test lead tells you to execute all the sanity tests. So we have categorized. In the first test, I've got one method for sanity test, the other method for regression. So the second method, the method A, I will ask it to belong to groups equal to smoke. Okay, just categorizing based on the depth of the test. For example, smoke is nothing but checking of the title, checking of the footer. It is not too deep. It's the initial test you do to see whether the website is up and running. Sanity goes one level deep. Supposing you want to sign in, do the sign in and check whether that basic functionality is passing without too much of functionalities, then that we call it as sanity test. And for example, if there are any broken links in the pages, those we can consider to be sanity tests. So right now I've categorized the tests. And how do I select and run only those tests where there are groups of sanity test? Go back to your suite and either see you can have another test also containing a number of test classes. That also is possible. Right now I have only these available. So how to define the groups? No problem in referring to the website for latest implementation purposes. Go to TestNG documentation if you want. You can see groups. Just do a Control F and say groups. You want to run test methods, test classes, and test groups. All comes with examples. So supposing you want to create a groups equal to, if you want to categorize one test case into multiple groups also, that also is possible. So either you have to run this test for regression as well as for smoke test. You can do that as well. So after having defined the groups, if you say multiple groups it belongs to, then you have to include it with its flower braces, which is a kind of JSON-like convention where multiple items belonging to the same group should be included within the flower braces. So in the TestNG, after the test, you can say include groups with sanity or functional tests. Like that, before the classes, you can include or exclude whatever tests belong to smoke test and run only sanity and regression. Right now, let me include the tests for sanity alone. So sanity. So if I say this, which are the tests that should run? Let me do a dry run in test1 class, which is the the methods that I have for sanity. Sign in method, I have made it as sanity. Okay, one method, sign in method from test1.java. In the second class, I have the second class method 2 should run for sanity. Okay, so 2 test cases should be run. I don't want regression or smoke test right now to be run. So therefore, when I run this, so make sure you save all the changes before you execute any program. 2 or 3 things that we have to check is whether there are any compilation program problems in either the suite file or in the TestNG class files, in which case you have to resolve it and then only start running. This is for freshers or beginners. So basically this prerequisites we have to satisfy. So grouping of the tests. Okay. So this is which are all the tests that were run. Sign in method, which belongs to sanity test, has run in the second test class method, which is grouped into sanity test, that is getting run right now. Okay, supposing we want to just exclude the smoke tests, and include name equal to sanity is given. I want to run only the smoke test. So in that case, whichever is categorized as a smoke test, in second class method 1 only, I have categorized it as smoke test. So test selection process. So in test case 1, I don't have any smoke test. In the second test case class, only I have one smoke test method. So let's run this. After saying that, I want only smoke tests to be run in my current regression test case. The changes that were done during the change request process, that was only one change that was happening. So basically only the, okay, so smoke test, which one is in test1.java? I have, yeah, the third one, that is A, is belonging to smoke. And in the second time over, the second class method 1, that is belonging to group smoke. So therefore, those were selected and run. So we have to consciously make a choice as to what type of depth a test case is classified. Not only this, I can pass parameters to the methods which are there in the test cases. For example, in the test case, let us take A, and if I want to pass some kind of global configuration parameter, that is, I want to run all the tests in Chrome browser. In that case, what will I have to do? I will have to categorize it, give the parameters over here. So you can even search for parameters. So you can see at parameters annotation, you can use annotations are always used within the classes. Okay. Supposing I want to get the parameter from the browser type that I want to run my tests. Okay. I will tell you how to configure that. In my test case, I can say that run the method A in a browser at parameters, browser, whichever browser I want to run. And since parameters have to be imported as in other classes, so there are two parameters that are shown to you. Please make sure you include only the TestNG annotation parameter. Then it will get resolved. Now, where will this value come from? Let us go back. So here, to whichever method we want to pass a parameter, in TestNG.xml, I can say in the suit level for all the test cases, I can say I want to pass whichever browser I want to. So in the suit level itself, I can pass the parameter at parameter name equal to browser in this case, right? So browser value equal to, in my case, I want to run it using Chrome. Okay. So parameter. So this was in the suit. Okay. After the suit, of course. So everything starts with that only, right? So that is my mistake. Okay. I'll place it within the parameter name equal to browser value equal to Chrome. I'm setting for this one. So in my test case, if one test method has to see which browser it has to use and run it in that browser, I have to have at parameters is one prerequisite. After the at test annotation, and of course I have to give the string receiving end. I have to have string browser. Okay, let me have it as B, and plus what is the value that is coming. Accordingly, I can open that particular browser and proceed with my test. So this is the way to do it. The value comes from the one single parameter. If I want to manage, it is not like data driven test. It is like setting configuration. From the suit file, I pass a value as a parameter to the underlying tests. All the classes will inherit it in this level. In each one of my tests, if in one of the tests I want to use Firefox Then I can set it as Firefox just before that particular test. So the order, it will be picked up. So in the classes, in the class file, before I mean, this order doesn't matter. So the parameters is the annotation. We have to import it to resolve that error and select the second, the TestNG's parameter, not the other one that is given to you. And yeah, so the receiving it, the method should receive that parameter in a string variable. And in that case, you will be able to use that value within your code for configuration of browsers or any environmental parameters. Now, let us see. So this belongs to smoke, right? One more thing we have to check is include, okay, smoke test is going to run now. And my browser, Chrome, should be displayed along with the message. So let me run this. Okay, some of the tests will pass, fail, do not worry about that. First, Chrome is getting passed as a browser, and let's see the console for the message. So Chrome is received by the method. So I'm printing the value, no? So I didn't leave a space, so it is sticking together, like best friends. So I'm in test A, third method in test1 class is Chrome. I will receive that from the TestNG XML file onwards. More into the data provider for data-driven tests and other things that you can do is parallel execution. You can even set parallel equal to true and parallel equal to tests. That is, if you want the tests to be run parallelly, if nothing is dependent on other methods, those tests can be run, and parallel equal to methods level you can set. That is parallel equal to, if you say methods, if there are no interdependent methods, like, simple smoke tests like checking of the browser title, checking of the footer, checking whether login area is present, those kind of methods, they can execute in parallel, isn't it? Nothing is dependent on each other. So that level of parallel execution, which is the ideal, the essence of testing quickly, that comes into picture when you use parallel testing. So more on TestNG video will follow. Up to this is the order of execution. Using this, you can even create Selenium tests and have those tests execute, and you can make pass or fail decision according to the result, actual result compared with the expected result. So until then, I just wanted to express the order of execution. There are other things like, not only at test annotated methods, but you also have before the suit level, if you want some code segment, like for example, opening database connections, if you want to do it one time, open a particular file and only close it after all the tests are executed. Those kind of things, if you want to do, what you have to do is within the test cases, you have to have at before suit. Okay. And you have to have the methods public void before suit. You can give whatever naming convention you want, but simply you have to have a method before suit has to be, it has to be, imported. And this will control the order in which you can place your code segments to control the test execution. Before test is there, before class is there, before method is there. So in order to execute that kind of code segments, wherever you place this before suit in your code class, it will get executed before the suit starts the execution. If you even place it at the bottom, it will execute first only, because that will be the way in which TestNG is designed. I will simply say system.out.println I am executing before suit. So, but we have to make sure that the categorization of the tests and all don't affect this. So basically, if you want to learn about the order of execution, groups and all, you can please exclude or comment it out in the XML. Commenting in XML is not the same as commenting in add block comment. So comments are having this kind of a format in XML files, if you notice. So I'll not use grouping in this kind of a situation where I have to learn about order of execution. So before suit, I have placed it at the bottom, but see what will happen when I run the test. Setting up the environment. Okay, so those things we can do before suit. Before all the test cases run, I want to see that running. I mean executing before suit. I'm in test A, third method. All these things, whatever is printed here. So I would suggest that in order to appreciate the way that the tests are executing, you can simply place SOP or system output statements within the code segments so that we will understand better. I have simply only the assert statements right now, but you can place the system output messages within the test methods in order to appreciate what will happen if you have before suit and if you have after suit. Not only in this particular class, in the second class I can have the at after suit method public void after suit. Simply this method I will simply say system dot out println after suit. After all the test cases are executed, if I want to close files, do some housekeeping process in the code, I can do this. So in the after suit, in the second test case only, I have kept it imported. Now save all and see that it will get executed after all the classes are executed and it will give this message. So there in this segment, you can place all the closure of the files or, the flushing of the messages or the files with the whatever values you have inserted. Those kind of housekeeping you can do in this one. Not only after, before and after suit, you have before test, after test, before class, after class, before method, after method. That kind of order, if you place the segments, you will be able to understand the order in which tests execute. And that idea that we can use within the for controlling the test execution order. And a lot of other things can be done, which we will discuss in the further videos. Until then, bye.